all women have a voice. This was her journey. Intozaki, who I met, and I think she was absolutely brilliant. This was her voice. This is what happened to her and how she perceived life. My journey was totally different. I was sheltered. Had red hair. I played the violin. I was very European in my perspective. Then I went to a college where I pledged a black sorority, got my tail handed to me, and went to Africa. So everything, my whole life was different. And since I didn't have bad experiences with men, I did not have negative experiences. My dad was really deep dude, and nobody bothered his little daughter. My boyfriends were positive and really wonderful guys. They thought I was a little princess because my dad told me I was a princess. So I couldn't relate to what she said, but I could understand it. As a woman, I could see the sensitivity and the beauty of her words, but I didn't have that journey. My journey was more introspective, and I also studied Lawrence Ferlinghetti, the poet from San Francisco. I hung out in Europe. I wasn't privy to the same Coria poem experience. And so each woman is different, and I was not upset by her work. I said, right on, girl. If that's the way you feel, I'm like that. You can do anything you want to do on stage with me. I just watch and say, listen, if that's your experience, that's your experience. Who am I to judge your experience?
That's very true. You can't judge another person's experience, and their experience might be vastly different from yours. But one of the other things that you do is one of your plays you talk about, and it's very much a part of the central theme, the whole concept, which is very big now with gentrification and everything, of homelessness. And that might not have been part of your life experience as well. So how did you manage to write a play that's not part of your life experience? Because I don't think that you've ever been homeless.
Let me tell you, I've written 12 plays, and a lot of them I have not experienced the tragedy and dynamics of what I write about. I always say God comes through me because I was a sheltered little kid sitting in a room at a typewriter. I really was. I tell people the truth. I was not roaming the street, homeless. I wasn't roaming the street with no gangs, and I wasn't roaming the street looking at prostitutes. I didn't know none of that because my mother didn't have that. She was Southern. She wasn't going for that stuff. So it came through me. I actually knew students who were homeless in college, and I could feel their pain. As a writer and as a aesthetic person, you have to feel the pain of humanity. I'm a humanitarian. If you cannot feel the pain of your fellow man, then to me, I don't know how you could call yourself a writer, because you have to feel the pain of not only your own self, but the pain of other people around you. And I could feel the pain of homelessness. That's why I wrote that play. I had college friends of mine who were homeless because of their decisions when they went to college. Their parents didn't actually dig it, so they were basically homeless. I wrote Babylon, which is about the decadence of the 21st century, which is what Babylon is one of my most decadent plays you will ever see, Mark. If you saw it, you probably would look at me 3 times and say, okay, Duke, what's up with you? It is so crazy in that play. I got everything going on. It's decadent. It's a punk rock, and George Faison directed it. It's out to lunch. But I saw that. I mean, when I lived in Europe, I saw Babylon, and I saw the play and went back and wrote it because I could feel the Babylonian vibrations in the world, and I wanted to talk about them. All of my plays talk about things that I've seen. Some of them I've experienced, but a lot of it I did not. That's why I could write a homeless play, because I could feel the pain of people that are homeless. I could feel the humanitarian need for us to do something about it, because I'm a humanitarian. I've spent lots of money with causes. I work political. I travel around the world. I believe that we are our brother's keeper. We really are, and that's why most of my work is very political.
Yeah, it definitely has a political bent to it and everything. I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I was talking about the art exhibit that's currently going on at Hayti, which talks about kind of the black experience in some of the European countries, and you lived that experience. So what was that like for you when you went to those different countries? Because like I said, I know the exhibit talks about...
I have friends say they don't want to see the photographs from my trip to Europe. Europe is a wild country. Let me tell you what. I had a phenomenal time in Europe. I traveled all through Europe. I went to Berlin, partied. We partied. We really, black Americans in Europe are treated really well. I mean, I'm telling you, I just thought I was Princess Meghan for real in Europe because they treat us really well in Europe. Why? Because we don't live there. They know we going home. And plus, we cute. I'm not trying to be fresh. I'm being, Black American women are very cute, a lot of us. We know how to style it. And what would happen when you go to Europe and you walk across the street, most Europeans know you're Black American. They could spot us. They said we walk different. We had a swag. We wore our hair different. We had this thing going on. And they treated us really well. I had a good time in France and Spain and London and in Germany. I got a book published. I worked for German theater. I produced plays. I had a good time. They didn't bother me. There were Nazis in Germany. I'm not going to lie. I met some Nazis on the train when I would be traveling north, and they would look at me all crazy because they had never seen no black people. But the vast majority of the Europeans embraced me as a Black American woman writer. They really did. I was given a lot of opportunities. I lived in a penthouse in Heidelberg. I'm telling poor little girl from Brooklyn. I had a penthouse in Heidelberg. I worked for a German company there. I worked for the American military as music director for 3 months, and I quit that and went to work with the Germans. I spoke no German, and I produced special events, and I just tore up Germany in my miniskirt. I'm not going to lie. We partied. The black sisters in Europe are totally phenomenal, and the brothers don't come home. Let me just say that. A lot of the black men who I met in Europe never came back. I was like, oh, my God, they didn't come back. They did not come back. And I'm going to be honest, they stayed there because they felt they were treated better. They met some woman from Sweden or wherever. They got married, went about their business. My best girlfriend did that. She married a guy from Finland and never came home. So it was a wonderful experience. I felt like a queen in Europe. I came back very arrogant and egotistical and got my butt handed to me at Kennedy Airport because the man asked me why I was in Europe for a year and who did I think I was. This is a customs, and he took my luggage apart, and I had on this fur coat, and he was like, well, who are you anyway? You know, they do crazy in America. Well, who are you, and how come you've been out the country for 1 year, and why did you have a job? They were questioning me, and they had the dogs there, too. This happened in New York City. Dogs at the airport. They thought I was a drug dealer. They went through my luggage. They went through my clothes. I just sat on the edge of the rail and watched them and said, welcome home to the United States of America. I'm home. That's what I said. I'm home. They got me first day in. They already acted crazy because they don't know why a black American woman is hanging out in Europe for a year with passports stamped in every country, and they want to know what I did for a living.
Wow.
That was my experience in Europe.
Yeah, sounds like a very rich experience that you had there in Europe, and sounds like you enjoyed it and might want to get back there and bring some of your plays and everything. So definitely sounds you had like a real rich experience over there. I was actually thinking about a film that I saw. I think it might have been latter part of last year that was about, or early part of this year, that was about how the fashion industry got turned upside down because of African Americans that came out there and basically, I think it was in the 70s, they basically brought Motown sound and sax sound and just did a whole show that just totally changed the fashion industry because they weren't used to that. So they said that it just totally changed what the fashion industry had been in Europe because they were used to the kind of staid and proper kind of fashion industry. And then these folks came in and were like, nah, we don't want to do that. We're going to give it a whole other soul kind of flavor.
That's how we were. We turned Europe out. I have to shout out to all my brothers and sisters that are black that are in Europe. We turned it out. We are phenomenal. That is part of my concept, but we are royal people. We turned Europe out. They were not ready for us. We were so fly, men and women, even the sisters coming out of Africa, Senegal. We were just too cute to be believed. And because Europe, like you said, had a one-track mind on a lot of issues, when the sister showed up at a club and she had on kente cloth mixed with chiffon, or I would wear fur shorts and I had on some leopard boots. See, a lot of these aesthetics are very black and African to us, so they were looking at us like, okay, how did you do this? And can you tell me how to do this? I used to have a lot of German girls come up to my apartment at night to try to talk to me about how to do their hair, and they wanted to know about my clothes. I mean, we were teaching classes, and we were charging them money. We were not playing over there. We had classes. We had master classes in being fabulous, and they would come, and we would say 25 German dollars. We would say, if you want to be in the,
get your money.
In the black aesthetic, you got to pay for us. No, you got to pay us. We're not playing.
Right.
We're from Brooklyn. We didn't think about this. My girlfriend from L.A. was really funny. She'd say, a Duque is a real wild one. She charges big money. She don't even talk to you unless you're paying her, because if you want to know the black aesthetic and who we are and how fabulous we are, you got to pay us, and we'll talk. And I'm telling you what happened. It was absolutely incredible.
Sounds like it was an amazing experience. It sounds like you thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, you know, some people are talking about the fact that we're in the middle of what I guess some people are considering a new Harlem Renaissance or a new Renaissance. We just talked about the fact that the old one is getting ready to celebrate its 100th anniversary and everything. But what do you think about that? Do you think that we're in the middle of a new Renaissance,
I think we are. I think there are so many plays being produced now, so many art forms. I was in Barbados in last March with CAFA, with the Barbadian artists from all over the world speaking to Parliament. There are hundreds of thousands of artists in the world that are color. I mean, Mark, this is a renaissance, not only of a post-Harlem renaissance, but it's also a international renaissance of art for people of color. We are really gifted in the world. I mean, when I went to Barbados for their art fest, I was like stunned at the amount of art coming out of the Caribbean and South America. I'm doing something with Danny Simmons and Russell Simmons in April at Danny's studio in Philadelphia. I want to give everybody my number so they can get in touch with me to show up. Danny is opening up his art studio. We're going to tear it up. We're doing a post-Harlem Renaissance event with all kinds of poets and artists and writers and fashions, because we believe we're in another age. You notice that this decade politically is disgusting, and everybody is acting crazy in Washington with this new regime that's in. But one of the things I've noticed, if you look at the black community of artists, some of us are not paying attention to these mad people. We're saying, okay, we know we're in a historical moment that is really bad, but we are still creating phenomenal work. Like the young lady at Notre Dame who's putting out a book called Sisters in the Struggle. She has a whole collection of articles about me and about 30 other black post-Renaissance black women writers in theater and in art. I mean, there are works coming out. The sister from the Atlanta Black Theater Festival just went to Ghana, and she is now taking 100 people to Ghana this year in terms of the connection between Ghanaian art and theater and black American art and theater, and I've been in Ghana. It's fabulous. I think we're fabulous. I think we're okay, Mark. I really do. I think that this trip that's going on with them, our white brothers and sisters, I don't know what's going on with them. I really don't. I'm like looking at this saying, I don't know what's going on with y'all, but you're acting kind of crazy out here. But the essence of the black art form, the filmmakers, the theater plays, the artwork, the music, I think, Dean, that we're just phenomenal. I really do.
Yeah,
I think we're phenomenal.
Yeah, we're definitely doing some phenomenal work and have been doing phenomenal work for a number of years and a number of decades and even, I would argue, centuries. But tell us a little bit about some of the people. You've alluded to some of them, but some of the people that actually influenced you when you were coming up in the art world and everything that you still consider going to as mentors. We know that Woody is still living, so I imagine you still go to Woody, but who are some of those people that you definitely still go to? And also share with us a little bit of your connection to some of the people that have passed on, because I do know that you were a big fan of Pearl Primus as well as a big fan of Bobby Chuck Davis and people like that.
Yes. Dr. Pearl Primus was an anthropologist who taught dance at Hunter College, and as you might have known, I was not a dancer. I was a poet and a writer. I was a more literary kind of an artist, but Pearl Primus taught me how to dance. And she gave me rhythm, and so did Chuck Davis. Chuck Davis used to get